Hello, people. Welcome back to the FPL Duo. We're back for Kneejerk stream. Obviously, we're going to talk about Game Week 23, and we'll also look ahead to Game Week 24 as well. And it's fair to say Game Week 23 has been a bit mad. And yeah, it's been a crazy week as well. I think in terms of goals, in terms of performances as well. I'm sure we're going to get into it. Obviously, we've just watched the big game of the weekend, Arsenal-Liverpool. Obviously, Arsenal came away as winners. I'm sure we'll discuss that as well. But yeah, in terms of FPL, there is a lot to discuss. I haven't actually fully checked my rank, but it's been updated now and I can see it. I mean, I've had actually a pretty good week in terms of FPL. Maybe not with Liverpool losing today, but in terms of FPL, it's gone pretty well. So yeah, let's start off with my team. In goal, I've got Dubravka, and we saw the madness in that game. I think 4-4 in the end, Newcastle v Luton. I don't think anyone saw that coming. 8 goals in that match. It looked like at one point Luton were going to win it. They went 4-2 up, but obviously we know Newcastle did fight back and then managed to nick a draw in the end. Moving into the back three. Now, let's start off with Pedro Porro in my team. And again, as we know, Tottenham's defense is not really that good. It is pretty poor from what I've heard. I didn't watch the game, but I know Spurs did struggle against Everton. Obviously, Everton did manage to nick a last-minute goal through Braithwaite, I believe. And yeah, 2-2 in the end. Not much to really discuss there. Comes away with a blank. Let's start off with some positives, though, in my team, and that is Trippier. And as you guys know, I did say I'm very, very glad I held on to Trippier because he's a bit of a differential in my team. And I just had a feeling that he was going to go big. He conceded 4 goals in that match and still came away with a 9-pointer, which is mad. Obviously, he goes and gets a goal. He also goes and gets an assist. And he also got a -2 as well. And that's the first time ever he's actually scored and assisted and not got the bonus points. So he didn't get any bonus points. So imagine if he got, a couple of bonus, it would have been a nice little double-digit haul. But 9 points, I'm not going to complain. I'll take that all day long. And yeah, happy held on to him. And he's got a couple of good fixtures coming up as well, Forest and then Bournemouth. And hopefully he can stay on that trajectory of scoring some points. Moving on to my last defender, that is Trent Alexander-Arnold. I thought Trent had a shocker today. He didn't look ready to come back. I know he's back to fitness, but I thought Trent was really, really poor today. It's one of his worst games I've seen him play this season, if I'm being honest. It is his worst game, I think it's fair to say. And yeah, he was subbed off, I believe, after about 60 minutes. He was subbed, deservedly, I thought. And yeah, he just didn't have a great game. Liverpool in general, to be fair, didn't have a good game. I don't think any single Liverpool player played well today. And in that first half, it could have easily been, 3-0 Arsenal, and then no one would have really complained. Moving into that midfield 4, very, very good from all of them. And I'm quite glad I actually decided to bench Foden in the end. But we never know. Foden could go big tomorrow, so we'll have to wait and see. Let's start off with Richarlison. Obviously, Richarlison's a big one. 15 points. Great. Can't complain with Richarlison since I've been, since he's come into my team, he's just been scoring every week, it seems. And yeah, another 2 goals against his former team, Everton. 3 bonus points. Not really much to say. He just carries on doing what he does. He does have a blank in 26, but he's got Brighton and Wolves next. And yeah, very happy to own Richarlison. And he's definitely paid dividends bringing him in. Gordon, unlucky this one. So for those that didn't watch the game, Gordon did pick up an early assist. And when he got that early assist, I was very happy. Early assist on the board. And then we all know what happened. Newcastle went on to score 4 goals. He was playing up front. And I was hoping that, he can go and get a few more returns. Unfortunately, he did come off injured with an ankle injury, I believe, at half time. And now he is currently flagged. So he only comes away with the assist. But yeah, it is annoying because Gordon had a good fixture and he's also got another 2 good fixes coming up. But it looks like maybe he could be out longer term. I don't know what the situation is, but I do have a decent bench in Foden. So I'm not too worried if he does miss out in the next game week. Palmer, again, seems to be Chelsea's only good player. Scores again against in the Wolves in that very disappointing loss, if you're a Chelsea fan. 4-2 in the end. A lot of high-scoring games this weekend. A lot of goals. And yeah, Palmer, yeah, go on.
And Cunha did score a hat trick in that game. For those who said in deadline stream, are we underlooking Wolves? I think we are,
Mm,
honestly, because if you did have Cunha for that game, you're pretty much laughing because that hat trick that he scored was pretty good, and Wolves are pretty good in that game against
mm.
Chelsea. Chelsea at home. Chelsea's home record is pretty poor at the moment.
Yeah, Chelsea, obviously, we know they've been up and down. They went on a bit of a run where they were picking up some wins, but yeah, today absolutely beaten from Wolves. But yeah, Palmer did come away with a goal. It was a nice goal, nice pass from Caicedo, and then Palmer slots it in the bottom corner. So yeah, 8 pointer from him. And Saka, the debate was, do I bench Saka? Do I bench Foden? So far, it looks like I made the right decision. We will see tomorrow when Man City take on Brentford. But yeah, Saka did score the first goal, I believe, inside the first 15 minutes. I think Havertz goes through one-on-one, misses the chance. Allison saves it, rebound, and then Saka, empty net. He's not going to miss from there. So yeah, Saka comes away with a 9 pointer as well. Again, which is nice. I believe he got 2 bonus points as well. So yeah, good to see that. Saka did, make my decision sort of correct in that regard. Um, Moving on to the front three now, there's a big score this week, and that is Ollie Watkins. Now, Ollie Watkins was on fire within the first 20 minutes. I believe he had like 2 assists and a goal. Yeah, for those that didn't watch the game, yeah, Aston Villa were brilliant. 5-0, 5-star performance. Watkins, as a goal, 3 assists, and the 3 bonus points as well. As you guys can see, he was my vice captain as well for the week. And if Haaland wasn't fit, yeah, I would have went Watkins captain, which does slightly annoy me that Haaland had to come back the week. I would have captained Watkins because I was looking at Watkins as an option. But yeah, I went on Haaland because I thought it's just risky going without Haaland. But we'll see how Haaland does on Monday. And Solanke obviously did blank. Unfortunately, we know Solanke's been on fire himself in recent weeks, but it wasn't to be today. I believe Bournemouth did draw. I want to say. I'm just going to double check. Was it a draw in the end? Yeah, it was a draw 1-1. And yeah, Solanke comes with a blank. Obviously, Haaland's to play tomorrow. And on the bench, Areola did come off injured at half time, I believe. So he only got a 1 pointer. I believe he had suspected concussion, so they didn't want to take a risk. So he was subbed off early. Foden's to play tomorrow. Gabriel got an own goal, obviously, against Liverpool. I had him benched anyway. He got a -1 and he conceded. So unfortunate for those that played him. And then Taylor, obviously, on the bench as well. But yeah, it was a very, very good week, guys. 68 points. And I believe that's like about 200, 120k ish green arrow, I believe. So it's a big green arrow, up to 186k now, which is the target. Now, obviously, I'm looking at maybe going into the next 100k in the coming weeks. And once I get in there, we'll reassess again. But yeah, big week. I'm glad with the way the team's done. Hopefully, Man City don't punish me too much because obviously I've benched Foden. I've not got Kevin De Bruyne, who seems like he's quite highly owned. So if Kevin De Bruyne goes big, maybe my green arrow goes a bit smaller. We'll have to see. But yeah, that is my team for Game Week 23, and Haaland captain left to play. Um, Same with yourself, Jordan. If we pull up your team, talk us through your Game Week 23, how it's gone, and then yeah, what you make of it so far.
Yeah, I will say this game week, even though I say it pretty much every game week, I've really enjoyed it. The football in it. It was football great all round for every game, and yeah, a few shocks and surprises here and there. But yeah, here's my team, how it's gone so far for game week 23. So start off with Leno in goal. He ends up not getting a clean sheet. Burnley actually scored 2 against Fulham and drew the game. So yeah, it was a bit of an upset there, I think, in terms of Fulham. But no clean sheet for Leno, and for the goals he conceded was a point deducted, so only leaves him with 1 point in that game. Moving on to defence, so yeah, I've had no luck at all with the defence. I would like to talk about Estupinian though, because that is a very interesting one. When I saw that Brighton lineup and not Estupinian in the starting 11, I was pretty surprised at that because Zerbi did pass him as fit for that game, but I'm not sure why he wasn't played. Maybe it's a tactical change, or again, it was something like a punishment from that Luton game where he was taken off at half time after they conceded 3 goals. It's not really sure why SGPN didn't start in that game, but he was definitely fit for that one. So maybe it was a tactical or maybe a disciplinary for the last fixture, but he only played 10 minutes of that game. I kind of wish he didn't come on because Brantwaite did score the equaliser in that game, and he would have came on for Estepinian. So I'm a bit annoyed at that because he only got 1 point, Estepinian, obviously, in that 4-1 win over Crystal Palace. So I think this week Brighton assets have definitely trolled me in more than ways than others. Next, we've got Pedro Porro that we've spoken about. So it was going to be tough for Spurs to go to Everton at home, as they did draw against them 2-2 in that game. And again, no clean sheet for Pedro Porro, neither an attack and return either for him this week. So we all know how bad Spurs' defense is. We're not in the hopes of them getting a clean sheet against teams. And yeah, we really much have Pedro for the attack and returns. But again, that's another week where he hasn't had the attack and return. So that's 2 game weeks now since the Man United game, Game Week 21, where Pedro Porro has been silenced. Moving on to the last defender. Now, this one annoyed me so much because this was easily shouldn't have happened. But in the obviously Gabriel on -1 for the mistake between Saliba and the goalkeeper Raya, and while Saliba was obviously shielding the ball away from Luis Diaz, Raya just stood there. He never came out to approach the ball. So it did lead to obviously the ball ricocheting off of Gabriel's hand and going into the goal. And I think even if it didn't go into the goal, that would have been a penalty, I think, for Liverpool. But either way, it did count as an own goal for Gabriel, and he ends up on obviously -1 point. He also got a yellow card as well, which took another point off of him. So yeah, it left him with a -1. But I think a lot of you did bench Gabriel, which you're pretty relieved of. But I actually did play him, which I think was the bad choice in that one. But moving on to the midfield, there's a lot more success. Obviously, Foden plays against Brentford away tomorrow, so we have to wait and see how that goes in the Monday night fixture. But let's move on to Saka, and I think this game week, in terms of whether we get rid of hold Saka, I think that is easily answered because he does go away with 9 points for scoring the first goal in that game. I will give a bit of stick to obviously Havertz for not passing it across to Saka when it was free, instead of actually took the shot on, and it did luckily deflect towards Saka. Otherwise, I don't think that would have happened. Otherwise, Saka scoring. But yeah, I think Kai Havertz should have squared that with Saka to score, but he did go on and take it, and obviously it deflected towards him anyway. But yeah, he did score a goal, Saka, in that game. He did come off though in the later stages around the 78th minute. He was in a bit of discomfort, but I'm sure that's nothing to be worried about because we've seen in the past where Saka has been taken off early for maybe precautionary, but he does come back fighting in the next fixture. But he does come away with 9 points, which I'm pretty glad I didn't consider benching him because I know a lot of people did for this fixture. And yeah, I'm glad that he has redeemed himself once again by scoring. Moving on to the next midfielder, that is Richarlison. And again, Richarlison's firing on all cylinders as well. Son has been in the Asia Cup, and it seems like you can't go without Richarlison at the moment because he is on a hot streak. Another double haul of 15 points, 2 goals he scored and a bonus 3. So he did score the only 2 goals that Spurs did score in that game. And yeah, if you did captain Richarlison, it did pay off for this week. But I thought he was pretty good in that game. And finally, moving on to Palmer, which I think in terms of Chelsea in that home fixture, again, Palmer was pretty much the outstanding player again. I felt like any other Chelsea player wasn't that great. And for a home performance as well, again, it seems like Chelsea fold to any team because Wolves did score 4 against them. And yeah, it was pretty crazy game. I never thought Chelsea would lose that badly to Wolves. I would have thought they at least got a draw out of that game, but it did end 4-2. But luckily, Palmer did score one of the goals in that game. So moving on to the front three, and again, Haaland plays in the Monday night fixture against Brentford away, so we have to see how the captain does in that one. And obviously Tony as well plays against Haaland in that Monday night fixture. So that just leaves Watkins, who's pretty much the player of the week, I think, with his 1 goal and 3 assists and the bonus 3, which ends up on 18 points. And I know a few of you did take Watkins out for this game, which I thought was completely crazy to do against Sheffield United because literally Watkins and Aston Villa were pretty good in that game. Sheffield United had no hope. Even by half time, it was pretty much game over for them in that game. And yeah, Watkins did repay, I think, those who did captain him last time against Sheffield United at home. He has definitely redeemed himself with the 18 points. So good for those who did captain Watkins and kept the faith in him because you now are on a nice haul. Moving on to obviously the bench now. So you know about Areola, he did come off. He only played 45 minutes half time, had to come off. Now this one, this one pains me whenever I see it, but I try not to see it. It's Pascal Gross. So
Yeah.
in the past 2 games where I've played him, he has blanked, and I've not really been impressed with his performances. So I thought, let me just bench him for 1 week against Crystal Palace, and well, I think that's one of the worst choices I've made so far this season because he comes away with a double haul of 11 points for getting the 2 assists and the bonus 3 from that game. And yeah, I'm utterly regretting my decisions on that one entirely. I'm kind of praying that somehow Foden doesn't appear in the squad at all for tomorrow's fixture, which is pretty unlikely, but that's wishful thinking, I think, because of obviously Gross with those 11 points on the bench there. But yeah, it does hurt that he's got those points, and obviously I played him on the bench. Next, we've got Brantford, who did score that crucial equaliser in that Tottenham game, which again, Brantford, I feel like he's quite underrated in terms of an asset. 3.6% own. And yet, even though he's just scored that first goal of the season, it feels like he's had quite a good run the last 3 game weeks. He has racked up some points. And I think that's about 19 points in 3 game weeks now for Brantford. So if you did play him as a differential, I think you've done pretty well in the past 3 game weeks because he's racked up a lot of points, especially in that game where he obviously scored the goal, got a bonus 1 on top of that, even though he conceded 2. And finally, Belt, obviously, he did concede 4 goals, so he ends up on 0 points for the goals he conceded in that 4-4 draw against Luton. But overall, the week so far, I still have 3 players left to play, which is the Man City and the lone Brentford asset as well, Tony. So it is currently a red arrow. I'm on at the moment 143k. Currently, I was around 120k, so it's a small red arrow. For me at the moment. 52 game week points so far, which isn't too bad, but I'm hopeful that if Tony, Haaland and Foden can pay off for the end of this game week, I'm sure I can end up on the green arrow. But so far, apart from that gross incident, I'm pretty happy with how game week 23 has gone so far.
Okay, so we do have a couple of players still to play. Obviously, Jordan's got 3. I've got 1. So we will see how it pans out with how the Man City game does go. But yeah, we'll take a few comments and also look ahead quickly to game week 24 as well, which again will be fast approaching. So we've got Patrick in the chat. Hi guys, anyone know why Estupiñán and Trent is subbed off and not starting? Trent came off early today, and Estupiñán was subbed off after 45 last game week and not starting yesterday. Well, in regards to Trent, he just wasn't very good. I thought he was rushed back. I don't think Trent would have actually played today. Connor Bradley, as we know, has been excellent at right back in recent weeks, and I think he would have probably started today if it wasn't because obviously the unfortunate news. Obviously, with the news that his dad has passed away, so I actually think Trent could have been on the bench today, and it seems like Klopp wasn't happy with him with his performance, and he subbed him. In regards to Estupiñán, I'm not quite sure. With this situation, why he was surprisingly, no one expected his benching, I don't think.
Yeah, again, Serbia is an interesting man when it comes to changing up the formation and squad for each game, but I feel like that's a bit of punishment from last game because Estupiñán was pretty bad defensively in that game, and maybe when he was taken off at half time, he wasn't happy with the performance. Maybe he wanted to bench him just to give him that sort of clarity over obviously how he was doing in that Luton game, and hopefully he does start the next fixture. I think that's just more of like a discipline type of thing that Serbia decided to go for, maybe a tactical change as well.
Yeah. Tendai says, "What's up, guys? Glad to see you're over 1K subs. Last time I was here, it was around 600, I think. Yeah, obviously over 1,000 subs now. So If you guys are enjoying the content, guys, please do like the stream and also make sure you don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. Really helps us out. But yeah, thank you for that, Tendai. I hope you're well. Harry says, same amount of points as you, Huss, but I've got Walker and Haaland captain left to play. Rasmus Hoyland and Garnacho making sure I have a nice end to the weekend. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
Man United assets do come into our mind again. Obviously, they are starting scoring goals now. It's 3 today. It was again 4 in their last game. So they are scoring. Obviously, Hoyland, I think that's 4 games in a row now where he scored as well. So maybe he does become an option. So Garnacho is doing well at a cheap differential price as well.
Yeah, I think for me as a Man United fan, that's probably the most comfortable match I've seen so far for Man United, like through the 90 minutes. There wasn't really much faltering or errors in that game. Maybe from Maguire, maybe at one incident, but apart from that, I thought like Hoyland's finally found his shooting boots in the Premier League. I feel like he's more comfortable and become more clinical. So as Garnacho is proper maturing in that position. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with Man United performance today.
One thing I will say about that performance, so Man United's XG was 0.83. West Ham's was 1.84. So if West Ham also had quite a few chances where I think Bowen was through, they were quite poor in front of goal. I definitely thought that scoreline did flatter Man United. Like it wasn't a 3-0 game in my opinion, with the way West Ham also attacked. So, but obviously, congratulations on the win. They won the game 3-0. So, but we'll have to see. I still think you could potentially now start getting in a Man United attacker because they seem to have they seem to start scoring more goals now. So I definitely think someone like Garnacho at his price is a nice option potentially. Cunha, Mateta, Watahati, United and Wolves assets up top finally trending. Might not even consider bringing in Haaland and keep Alvarez, says Tendai as well.
Interesting, yeah. I'm surprised with Cunha. He didn't get any bonus points for his hat trick either. I think Neto
Okay.
got some and other players, but yeah, Cunha only got the points for his hat trick and the minutes he played, but no bonus.
That's interesting. I might be your first. Let us know in the chat, guys. Patrick also says, worth keeping Trent for the double. I don't see him starting both. Well, this one's an interesting one now because obviously Trent didn't have a greatest game today. However, Bradley, we don't know what the situation is in terms of how long he's going to be out for, or in terms of obviously Klopp said he's giving him time away. So Bradley, is he going to play in the double? I'm not sure. I still think Trent's fine for the double personally, as far as I'm aware. Obviously, Trent had a bad game, but if for those that watched the game, any Liverpool player you really could pick out and say had a bad game. There's no one really that had a good game. It was just a poor performance all round from most of the squad. So I think Trent will be back in, guys, for the next game. I think Klopp will go with Trent. Trent's been really good this season, so I don't know if it makes him a doubt for the double. Let's see what he does in game week 24. If Trent's benched for game week 24, then yeah, maybe we have to consider it, but I don't think it will be.
No, because I don't think they have really much choice due to Conor Bradley, unfortunate, obviously happenings, and with Trent there as well, that's probably the best you have in that position to have a player for. So, yeah, I think positively, I think he'll play both doubles.
Yeah, we'll see. In regards to Trent, but yeah, let's pull up our boss teams quickly for game week 24. We'll just quickly discuss, what the lineups are, what our plans are as well. I'm sure there's a bit to discuss. Oop. Gonna zoom in for you guys. Oh, I don't know why it always does this. My screen. There you go,
It's a bit
guys.
fiddly.
Yep. Hopefully you guys can see that a bit better. I know my goalie's a bit cut off. Hold on. Let me try to fix that. Yeah, it's the best I'm gonna get. So yeah, in goal, I do have Dubravka, who's got Forest. I am playing the back three of Pedro Porro, Trippier, and Trent. In the midfield four, currently I've got Palmer, Foden, Richarlison, and Saka. Then up top, I've got Solanke, Watkins, and Haaland. I do have 2 free transfers as well, as I did roll one of mine this game week. So again, when I look at my team, I'm actually not sure what I want to do. Like, there's not really a player I want to take out. I think every player has a decent fixture. But I do know Liverpool have a double now, which wasn't I don't know if you guys spoke about it in the deadline stream because I wasn't there, but Liverpool have a double and that's confirmed for Game Week 25. So I do want to start bringing in more Liverpool assets like Jota, uh, even Darwin. I am considering bringing in Darwin potentially for double Game Week 25 because I think I'd want more Liverpool assets for their double. I want to also bring in potentially another Man City player, maybe even a KDB. I am looking at KDB potentially as well. I don't know how I'm going to get to him, but I might have to sell Trippier or even Trent, possibly Trippier, um, to actually get to KDB because I am looking at the likes of KDB and Darwin, etc. Because I do want more doublers in my team. But yeah, in the regards to my team, this is how I'm set up for game week. Game week 24, and I think it looks quite fine at the moment. It's just how I fit KDB in really. Jordan, if we could do the same with your team and pull up, your game week, your boss team for game week 24. Are you on one free transfer or you got two?
I am on one free transfer because I
One.
did bring in Haaland and Tony, and so yeah, I'm left with one this week. As far as the team goes, I'm pretty happy with the players I have. I don't think there's any necessary need to make a transfer on any of them, unless there's a fitness issue with someone. But yeah, I'm thinking of rolling the transfer. In terms of captaincy, though, might get a surprise, but I might not captain Haaland for game of 24. I might look to another captain to go with, I think. But I'm contemplating as well either playing Bell instead of Pedro Porro instead, because he does have Sheffield United at home. And the way Luton have looked the last 2 game weeks, they've scored 8 goals in the last 2 fixtures. I don't know what's happened with Luton. They've sort of jumped up in terms of momentum, but I have a good feeling with Bell keeping a clean sheet against Sheffield United at home, because Luton are pretty tough fixtures at home for Luton. And yeah, I might contemplate playing Pedro on the bench instead. In terms of Gross, though, I don't know what to do with Gross. Bit of a headache, really. After that 11 points he did score, there's not really anyone I want to replace from the forward or midfield to put in place for Gross. But I think I might regret this. I might be benching Gross again. But yeah, the way it's looking in terms of captaincy for my team, I might just slap it on maybe Palmer somewhat. But anyway, in terms of the players, I've got Leno in goal. He's got Bournemouth at home. In the back three, it's Estupinian, Tottenham away. Bell's got Sheffield United at home, and Gabriel's got West Ham away. In the midfield four, we've got Foden, he's got Everton at home. Saka, West Ham away. Richarlison, Brighton at home. And Palmer, he's got a nice fixture against Crystal Palace away. And then up front, we've got the forwards, Haaland, Tony, Watkins. All three have nice fixtures. Everton at home for Haaland, Wolves away for Tony, and Watkins, who has Man United at home. And on the bench, it's a pretty good bench, I think, this week. Got Areola's got Arsenal at home. Gross got Tottenham away. Pedro Porro's got Brighton at home. And Brantford's got Man City away. So, yeah, in terms of moves, I think I'm going to roll the transfer. The only thing I might do is switch and change players out, depending on how I feel with the fixtures they all have. You could see my players change, switch in and out as the week goes on. But yeah, apart from that, there's no other change I really want to do with my team in terms of transfers. It'll be more who I pick to start in the 11 and who I decide to captain as well for game week 24.
Okay, not to worry. So yeah, it seems like, are you going to roll then from initial thoughts is just to roll the transfer?
Yeah, I think it's to roll the transfer. There's not really anyone there I want to take out because apart from Estupinian, he's the only real 50-50 whether he was a good pick to go for after being subbed off at 45 minutes in the last game week and this game week not starting and playing only 10 minutes. Apart from that, everyone else on that team is pretty fine to play next week.
Okay. Well, switching it back over to my team, as you guys know, I am on 2 free transfers, so I'm just thinking of what I can do. I don't even know how much exactly I have in the bank. I'm just going to check. I do have 0.4, so it's not a lot. Gordon is flagged as well, which again is a bit frustrating. So I'm trying to see what I could do. I can't even get to KDB because if I do want KDB, I might have to take a -4. How would I actually get there? I'm not so sure. Maybe even Porro. I'm not actually against selling Porro. if I'm being honest. He does have a blank in 26. Next two aren't bad. 2 home games coming up.
Yeah, depends if you want him after the blank again.
It's just trying to fit KDB in for the double.
Or you
I
might
want to
have
see
a
how
look
I want to see how De Bruyne does obviously tomorrow. But if I want KDB in my team, I will have to drop someone, and obviously I can't afford. I've got 2.5 in the bank, which doesn't really work out. So if I take out Porro as well, I can maybe get 2 cheaper defenders in here.
but then if you do, you would have only pretty much 2 good defenders to play with because Taylor's still injured and Gabriel and Trent are the only.
Oh yeah, no, I'd bring in someone cheap that I'll be playing most weeks. Maybe I mean if I can get Saliba, I can't even get to Saliba because the money's tight. I might have to sacrifice even a Saka, who obviously scored again today, but I would want another doubler like a KDB. If KDB does well tomorrow, I think it's going to be hard to ignore him, especially when he's got a double coming up. And both are home games against Chelsea, who have shipped 8 goals against Liverpool and Wolves, and then Brentford, who we know have been shipping goals as well all season. So KDB could even be captain potential in double game week 25. So I am looking at ways I can fund him. Watkins, I could have easily got rid of Watkins, but the way he's playing right now, it's going to be tough to sell him. If I'm being honest, because I was looking at Watkins, removing Watkins for Darwin. Solanke might go for Darwin as well. Darwin's another player I'm looking at bringing in. He played a bit today, but I think that's the front three I do want to start going with soon. Darwin, Haaland, and Watkins. To be fair, I plan to usually sell Watkins, but because of the way he played, I just think he's one of those assets that you can't get rid of. I think he's just going to play well until the end of the season and just be consistent. But it's just tough. The money is tight. The KDB is the one I want.
Do you think KDB's that necessary for the double?
I think, yeah, possibly, yeah. I think he might be. I think, especially if I've not got Salah in my team, we don't need the Salah money. I think KDB is where I want to go now for the next 8 game weeks. Because Salah, if Salah was back for double game week 25, he may be, but it's not looking like he will be because Liverpool have a confirmed double, but it's not updated on the website for whatever reason. Liverpool have a double against Brentford and Luton, which is also a really nice double for Liverpool. But because Salah isn't going to be fit potentially for one of those games, I am going to hedge my bets on Jota and Darwin. And because I've got more money, I think KDB, the fixes are nice, double, and then I'll probably get rid of KDB later on. But I do want to see how he does tomorrow. But yeah, I think KDB is where I want to go because realistically, I don't think I'll have Salah until maybe game week 30 now, when I'll look to bring Salah back in potentially.
And do you think Darwin will play both games for the double?
I mean, I don't know if people watched the game today. I just think Liverpool are such a better team with Darwin. And I know Darwin misses chances, but for me, he has to play. The man of, even in the second half when he came on, he had a few things he just creates out of nothing. Like he'll run at a player or he'll take someone on and he'll create something. So I think for me, Darwin has to play for Liverpool because I just think he's the best option they have, especially with Salah not being there. I just think he's a more threatening player than Gakpo for me. And with Jota up there as well, I do think he will play the double. But obviously there is that risk as well because Gakpo can play there. But I would still take that risk with Darwin, even if he plays one full game and then a half of another one. I still think Darwin's worth bringing in. And I don't know what his ownership is. I mean, 14% is not too high, so I do want to take a punt and be a bit different now. Especially, I'm trying to break into that top 100k now. Having someone like Darwin could help me. And I have still, Liverpool weren't good today, but that's Liverpool's first proper loss of the season, if we're being honest, because that Tottenham game, I don't even count that as a loss. I mean, that's the first time Liverpool have fully lost this season. And, we're in game week 23. But I don't, Liverpool will bounce back. So I think Nunes is still a good option going forward. Jota is another one I really want. And I'm not against selling, dare I say it, Richarlison, because he has a blank in 26. But I may have to sell him. I might keep Richarlison for game week 24 and then sell him for 25 when he's got
Yeah.
Wolves.
The thing is that after that blank, he does have a nice fixture against Crystal Palace at home, and we've just seen
Yeah.
Brighton score 4 goals against Crystal Palace, and obviously Elise was actually benched in that game. For those who don't know, and I think without Elise in that game, in that team for Crystal Palace, I feel like Crystal Palace just fold in each of their games. And as much as it is Richarlison for that game, I'm actually thinking of captaining him in 27 when he has Crystal Palace home. I think that game for him, depend on obviously the Son, but I think that's a good captaincy for game week 27, Richarlison. So I think you'd want him back if you do get rid of him after that blank.
Yeah, it's just for sure. I know I want triple Liverpool, and that would be Darwin, Jota, and Trent. I know I want triple Man City, Haaland, KDB, and Foden. So that is my priority for the double 25. I know I'd want Jota by any means, and if it means having to sell Richarlison and maybe getting back, I'm not against it. Even Saka, he could go because I want more doublers in my team. And Saka's fixtures aren't the greatest. Obviously, Liverpool today was a tough game, but he did score. West Ham, Burnley, Newcastle, Sheffield. So they're not bad. West Ham is usually sometimes a tougher game for Arsenal. West Ham away, I still think that won't be an easy game, even though they lost 3-0 to United today. Burnley, okay, you'd expect Arsenal to win. Newcastle at home, we don't know what kind of Newcastle you're going to get. Chelsea, City as well. So I'm not against removing Saka as well, but yeah, those are my thoughts. Like the players I want, KDB and Jota are on my priority, and even a Darwin potentially. I want some more Liverpool players because I feel like I'm quite light on them. And obviously, with Salah being out, it allows me to bring in the other like differentials where people might not be looking at. But what about you longer term? What players are you looking at in your team?
Well, I think by the time obviously the double comes up for 26, I might not have any Liverpool assets, and it might be a bad idea to go without any Liverpool assets. But the way obviously my team is set up, I've got 4 players at the moment that blank in 26. That's Pedro, Porro, Richarlison, Palmer, and Bell. Also because Luton do blank in that game week as well. So if I do bring in Liverpool, I mean, one more Liverpool player. I mean, I could switch out with Richarlison for maybe a Jota. That still would mean I'd have to get rid of another player if I wanted to start in 11 for my team. So I don't think I'll be bringing in any Liverpool assets for that double. I've still got a few, obviously Haaland will double, Tony doubles as well. So that's currently 3 doublers at the moment. 4 if you count Palmer as well as a double game week player. But I think for me, I might go without any Liverpool doublers for that game at 26. The rest of the players, though, I feel like I'm fine with long term. The Brighton ones are a bit of a question mark on how they get on, but we'll have to wait and see with those. I currently got both of them benched, actually, because relating to the comment in the chat from Patrick, who says start Porro instead of Estupinian, I feel like, yeah, that's a good shout because it is a home fixture for Pedro Porro and the way on for, obviously, Estupinian and Gross as well. So yeah, I have to see how that gets on. But I think for me, it's definitely rolling this week, and maybe the following week afterwards, I contemplate maybe whether I bring in another doubler or switching out someone else in my starting 11. That's a single game week player, because we have to remember as well, double game week players are not always the best picks to go for. Sometimes a single player is better when there's a double game week going on as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously, I'm a big fan of doublers. I like to have as many in my team as possible. I'm even looking at Luton players as well because we know Luton are going to double, and they will double. I'm not players like Doughty, even the goalie Kaminsky, who's a cheap option. I could potentially look at doing a goalie transfer, but we'll see. As I said, this is where FPL gets exciting for me anyway. When the doubles come, I think that's the best part of FPL. I think I've got myself in a decent position now, and now to break in. This is now where the doubles and etc. come in. As I said, triple captain chips are going to be played, chip strategies. This is where you can get really big gains if you play your cards right. So yeah, I'm looking forward to what's in store for the next few game weeks.
And yeah, also Also for double game at 26, have you given it any thought? I know it's a bit early, but have you given it thought who you're going to captain? Are you going to captain like a Liverpool asset or maybe a Man City one? Because I know
Yeah,
Haaland will be a popular, obviously, player in that double.
probably a Man City player. Probably a Haaland. I'll probably be boring and go Haaland on double game week 25. I do want to see what he does tomorrow, how sharp he looks. If not, that's why I want KDB, because if I don't captain Haaland, I could even captain KDB, someone like that as well. So I'm looking at that. Jota, Liverpool as well with Nunez, they could miss one game because obviously Liverpool have a couple of options. Gakpo can play, so I'll probably go Man City. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the game week 25, 26 madness. Obviously doubles and the blanks as well, and how you navigate that. People might take hits. As always, it is exciting time in FPL.
Wicked. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how Haaland gets on tomorrow against Brentford. Even Tony as well, because he did upset
Yeah.
them last season, Tony, in that fixture. So it's going to be important for Man City, especially with Arsenal winning today. Has crept up on Liverpool, and Man City hope to creep up on them as well in the table.
Oh yeah, in terms of going back to the football, obviously it's very tight now. Arsenal are only 2 points behind Liverpool now, but if Liverpool won, it would have been 8 points.
Yeah,
That's that big swing. And yeah, like if Man City win their 2 games in hand, they actually go back to top. So Man City will go above Liverpool if they win their 2 games in hand. So which shows how quick it is. It is definitely a 3-horse race now, for sure. And yeah, I think we're going to get an exciting Premier League title race anyway now. And yeah, let's hope that Liverpool can stick in there with 8 games to go. I think get to game week 30, still within a point of each other, and then you've got a chance.
yeah. Because we did see Arsenal last season; they're looking pretty good. In the final third of that season, they sort of fell apart against teams that you would just expect them to win. So the pressure did get to him at the end. So we'll be interested to see what happens this season. Obviously, how close it is between these teams. Who goes on top?
Yeah, I've always said when you get to game week 30, the pressure is very different. Obviously for the players, I think with 8 to go, that's when it really starts. If you're still in the title race with 8 to go, I think that's when you'll know roughly. I think it's still early. I know Arsenal won today. Liverpool. I think there'll be more points dropped along the way, and hopefully, obviously, not too many for Liverpool. But yeah, more comments, animations. If I get Haaland in, I could sell Watkins and start him. That's the thing about selling Watkins. Do you want to sell Watkins with the way he's been playing this season? I know he's had a couple disappointing blanks in certain weeks, but then he can go ahead and get you an 18-pointer like that. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if I sold Watkins this game week, I think I'll be bringing him back in the next game week after that. A massive fall. I mean, Aston Villa do have moments where you think, are they up to scratch with their games? But I think you should never question them the way they're playing at the moment.
I would not want to get I wouldn't want to get rid of Aston Villa assets right now. I just think you take a look at the fixtures. Well, they have Man United at home. I think that's a great fixture for Watkins, if I'm being honest. And then after that, Fulham, Forest, Luton, Spurs, West Ham. These are some decent games. And the way Aston Villa are playing, they're one of the best teams in the league right now. So yeah, I'm not sure I'd want to get rid of Watkins. I was initially looking at it because he had some disappointing games. He did blank against Everton, blanked against Burnley, blanked against Man United, blanked against Sheffield in a 1-1 draw. He's had a few, but then again, you look at his stats: 11 goals and 14 assists for this season. So yeah, there's no way I'm going to get rid of Watkins, I think.
Yeah, that's crazy. 14 assists already this season. There's still 8 game weeks to go. That's quite a feat that Aston Villa are putting off, especially Emery. I think Emery's been perfect for Aston Villa this season. Yeah. I think he's been a great manager to bring in.
He's arguably been like the manager of the season for me so far. So yeah, I think he's done a great job at Aston Villa so far this season. Levi J, 52 points with KDB captain and Foden still to play.
Nice.
Patrick, already done my transfer. Bowen out, Jota in. Did it after the game.
Oh wow, that was quick.
Yeah,
very quick transfer.
Going early.
Yeah. I mean, Bowen did have some chances in that game. He did cross one into the box. Unfortunately, it wasn't obviously a goal from that. He did have a one-on-one chance, but Delo did actually stop it pretty well. I thought from him scoring. So I think Bowen has been a bit unfortunate at times, but yeah, I think he has been a bit frustrating at the same time. West Ham haven't been great in their last game weeks. I think Moyes is under a bit of pressure as well. I think Paqueta as well out. Big miss. Even though Kudos has come back from AFCON and other players as well, I feel like Paqueta is a huge miss for that West Ham team.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my transfer. Sorry, like I was thinking, if I bring Diego Jota in,
Yeah.
if I bring Diego Jota in for Gordon, that gives me 5.3 million to bring in a defender, and I could bring in someone like Doughty. I think that's how you say his name. Obviously, the Luton defender who does have a double in 25, and then he could potentially double again later. So maybe a Doughty. I just bring him in, and that would mean I have to play Trent, Porro, and Gabriel every week. That still leaves me 0.8 in the bank, and I'll have Jota. And then I'm trying to see how I can get to KDB, but going to KDB is going to be hard, I think, with this team.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely hard to fit KDB in there. I think for Luton assets for the double, I quite fancy taking a punt on Adebayo.
Yeah,
I
the
feel like
striker.
I feel like he's been pretty good. 9 goals so far. He did actually score one of the goals against Newcastle in that 4-4 draw as well. So at 1.9% ownership, he could be a nice differential for that double. Luton have. It only takes one game week for him to score a goal, and it's made up for it, guys. So 4.8 million, he could be one to go for. Even though he's a forward, it could mean you have to sacrifice someone for it, but it's still a good rank gain if he does well in one of the matches.
Yeah. I might have to downgrade Solanke, but obviously Darwin's more expensive than Solanke. I think I will be getting rid of Solanke soon. Then fixtures are still decent. Burnley from 27 onwards, they're quite nice, all the way to 32. And Solanke's also done really well this season so far. 13 goals, 1 assist. It's not to be sniffed at as well, especially at his price. But yeah, you'll have to wait and see, guys, what I do, because actually I don't have any idea at the moment.
Yeah, we are spoiled for choice this season with forwards, unlike last season where we couldn't really get one that was clinical enough to really keep our teams. Now we've got so many, it's hard to pick which ones we think are the right ones to go for. And hopefully do better than the ones we don't have.
Yeah, Watkins has given the dilemma now. Like Watkins was my plan to get rid of him, because it would, downgrading Watkins to Darwin, that would free up a lot of money, and that would enable me to bring in the likes of, likes of KDB. So if I just show you Watkins out, and then I do Darwin, who's got a double, that gives me 1.3, and then I can take Gordon up to Jota, I believe, and then I'll take Trippier down to possibly a Doughty. Gives me 1.7 in the bank. Trying to see, can I get, how much is De Bruyne?
See 10.3 million.
10.8.
Oh, 10.8.
Yeah, so he's had a lot of price rises in recent weeks, unfortunately.
Wow, he has. I remember it being 10.3. I didn't realize he's had that many price rises.
Yeah, he's had loads of price. He's had like 4 price rises since being back from injury. He's 30% owned now as well. So,
wow, that's a shock. The amount of minutes he's played,
yeah,
and he's had that many price rises.
0.4 to get to KDB. I might have to downgrade Porro or even Richarlison. I don't know.
I mean, I'd rather downgrade Porro than Richarlison.
Because Richarlison will blank in 26. After that, the fixtures aren't too bad as well. But yeah, someone will be going, because I still think I will be bringing in De Bruyne somehow. I'm going to make it work. Trent could even go after the double. We'll see. But obviously, maybe I'm just being negative at the moment in terms of Trent, because obviously we know what he's capable of. Obviously, didn't play well today, and Liverpool had a bad result, but that is their first like a proper loss for me this season. So yeah, De Bruyne, I have to find a way to get him in, as well as Jota. And Darwin, if I want Darwin, then I have to take out Watkins, which people might think is mad to do that.
Yeah, because Watkins could be one of those single game week players that does well over double game week players. He has that quality, like we saw this week. Getting the 18-pointer for a single game week, you can see another player, maybe like, let's say, for example, Darwin has a lot of chances in both his fixtures, but doesn't end up scoring in any of them. He ends up on say 4 points or maybe gets an assist. And you see Watkins maybe banging 2 goals in one fixture, and then that's him outscoring Darwin in the double, for example. So we've got to see the capability as well from these single game players and what they can do compared to the ones that have doubles, and see if they outscore them single game players.
Yeah, I mean, we'll discuss that, I'm sure, during the coming week. Obviously, it is another week until the deadline, I believe. I'm just going to double check.
Yeah,
the deadline is Saturday deadline. Brilliant. But we'll be back again, guys, on Tuesday for transfer tips, as always. So make sure you do tune in. I think we're going to wrap it up here. We'll go a bit early today. But yeah, I want to say a big thank you to everyone that has watched the stream. If you've enjoyed the content, hit that like button, guys. Hit that subscribe button as well if you're new around here, if you're watching for the first time. Yeah, thank you for watching. We'll be back again Tuesday for the transfer tips video. Anything else you'd like to add, Jordan?
Yeah, we're back to our normal, usual schedule. The busy, mad, unpredictable one is now over. So I think we're all glad with that. Yeah, but we'll be back for Tuesday for the transfer tips as normal, 8 o'clock UK time. So tune in for that as well. But thanks for watching, guys, and for your questions in the chat. It's always appreciated. But until then, take care. Enjoy the start of your week and the rest of the weekend, and see you soon.